All right, I am in Roseville with 16-year-old Alex Parra, who's going to tell us a little bit of his story, because it's definitely one that you'll want to hear. Alex, when did you first start to realize you had a problem?
I want to say late July. So I'd been swimming for CCA for 2 years, and then I'd be swimming over and over since 5 in the morning to 7 a.m. And I noticed there'd be pain in my knee. Told my coach about it. She said, "Not a problem. Just use your arms. Don't use your legs, and you'll be fine." Told my parents. They said, "Ice it, elevate it." Next day I was good. I was in the water again. Say a week later, started noticing it was painful again. And the next thing you know, there was a mass on my knee. So I told my parents about that, and they freak out. Oh, we get an appointment with the doctor, I'd say August, and then that's when we found out I had osteosarcoma, type of bone cancer, and then everything changed.
Okay, so tell us a little bit of because I'm not a doctor and neither are you. Give me the layman's explanation of osteosarcoma.
So osteosarcoma is a type of bone cancer. There's about 20,000 cases a year. It's common in teenagers because I want to say there's a massive growth because you're growing so much as a teen, and then that's how it'll happen. It happens in like the knee, the shoulder, or the hip, mainly.
Okay, so in the joints, really. All right. So once they make this discovery, then what happens next? How do they treat it?
Chemotherapy will go through. I have a total of 17 sessions, so all the way until I'd say late April or early April, and then hopefully I'll be done with all that. Hopefully by the time it's done.
Okay, but you've also had some surgery.
Oh yeah. So the options that you have for me it was a partial knee replacement, or amputation. For me, I just thought amputation was the best way to go. I didn't want to try knee replacement because with knee replacement there could be a lot of problems and complications because they put a full metal rod in your knee and that could easily break. I have complications with the chemotherapy because with chemotherapy your bones are the chemotherapy kills your cells. So once you have a new metal part jammed into your bone, that doesn't really work out. So with the knee replacement, I just didn't see it as a good option because you couldn't have good mobility, good fitness-wise. I'm an athlete. I want to be a swimmer. I wanted to run. I wanted to do all of this. So it wasn't really a good option for me.
Okay, so you're still getting used to it. You've had it, what, about 5 weeks or so, roughly?
Yeah.
Have you been able to do much running or swimming or trying that out?
I'm trying to get into running. Swimming is obviously an option. I could just take the leg off and then swim without it, which I'm planning to do. Hoping to get back in the water soon, as possibly as I can.
Yeah, well, before this all happened, how much time were you spending in the water?
Oh, every day. Yeah, for the past 2 years and the whole summer it was every weekday, 5 to 7 a.m. for CCA and for the high school as well.
Okay, so I think the big question is, since this has all happened, and when was your original diagnosis?
I'm going to say August 12th, somewhere around that time.
Okay, so this has all happened relatively quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's been a drastic change to your life. I mean, talk to me about some of the adjustments you've had to make.
Well, obviously with the new leg, I have to make that. My room was upstairs, so I had to move downstairs. So I guess that's an adjustment. But other than that, just trying to get used to it and then trying to cope with it, really.
Well, and you're also dealing with the chemo. And, having been through it in my own family several times and watching what it does to people, let me ask you, what kind of setbacks have you had because of it?
I wouldn't say really any. I really hit it head on. I try not to be too scared of it. I just try to, be positive through the whole thing, especially with NHS and then friends and school and all that. I had people's support and my parents' support through it all. So I had them helping me throughout it all. So I wasn't really too scared throughout it all.
And more over there, too. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
Get these guys. Dad, we're taking videos of each other.
Yes,
and that's okay.
Yes, we are.
That's all right. So you really have I imagine at some point it's probably wiped you out pretty good.
Yeah. Sometimes I'd break down crying. I thought I was going to... At first I was really scared to lose my leg or to lose my life. I wasn't really thinking clearly, and then later on with time I started thinking a lot more positively.
Now, what is your prognosis? I mean, with the treatment and the amputation and everything, chances of survival, I imagine, are probably close to 100%, I would guess. I mean, what are they saying?
Hopefully, with osteosarcoma, it does like to spread to the lungs. So when I had my amputation, there was an extra form of cancer or tumor that was right, I'd say, above it. So they had to cut a little bit higher. But when they found that it was behind a blood vessel, they said you might have a chance that it might go to your lungs. So hopefully with the extra chemotherapy that I'm having, that won't happen. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the trick, is how aggressive do you get with the chemo to try to wipe it out without taking the chemo too far?
Yeah. The chemo, once I'm in chemo, I'm completely out of it. I'm not even able to process a lot of stuff. So there's memory loss, there's hearing problems, there's nausea, there's a bunch of just crappy stuff that happens there.
Well, how are you doing in terms of keeping up with school?
Well, I'm doing Independence High School right now, so I have online courses that I have to take. So I already took U.S. History, now I have to take English and an elective. So hopefully I can finish those before this school year ends, so I can come back senior year.
All right. Well, you'll be ready for your senior year then, won't you?
Yeah.
This is Jesse Parra, Alex's dad. Jesse is a father myself. I have a daughter who's just slightly older than Alex. When you hear a doctor say your son's got osteosarcoma, I mean, I can't imagine how I would react as a father. How do you react to that?
You know, honestly, we didn't even know what osteosarcoma was. We had an athlete in our family, had done 3 years of Pop Warner football, goes to high school, joins the high school swimming team, and we thought he was an athlete. He was indestructible. When they tell you your son has cancer, and you're like, in the knee? What's that? We never heard of it. We never had any family got touched with osteosarcoma. We ourselves had to get educated. And it was devastating. And it was even more devastating is once they tell you cancer, and then they tell you your son might lose his leg. And as a doctor announced it to us, he goes, we'll try to salvage the limb. The limb? That's my son's leg. That's not a limb. He's the athlete in the family. We would go to get food. He's the one that wanted grilled chicken. I'm the one that wanted fried. I'm like, oh, no. But he was our athlete. And it was devastating to hear that for any parent, I think, to hear that your son might not survive. And the day that they told us, they said osteosarcoma had a 70% survival rate. Immediately he was, well, why does the other 30 not survive? Well, it might go into your lungs, and if it goes there, we'll have a different conversation tomorrow. God, we were on pins and needles that night trying to hear, did the chest exam came clear or not. Every time that phone rang, you were just waiting and afraid to even touch it and just dying to see what it was, the results. We've, as a family, we have said that the term is no one fights alone. It affects all of us, and it takes everybody to fight this. And we're so honored with the High School National Honor Society for helping this. Because, yes, we can't fight this alone. It is something that we need everybody's help. His friends, his coach, his teammates come to the hospital and cheer him up. And just making him smile during the hardest and devastating time of chemo means everything to us. Because making him not think of going through a life and death experience every time we go in for a session of chemo. And every time we go in, it is staying in the hospital admitted for 4 days. And for 4 days, it is living hell. He is throwing up, sweating, feeling bad, bloody noses, you name it, headaches, ringing of the ear, having the worst time. It is seeing your son go to the very, very deep end of cancer treatment and bringing really low in his platelets, his skin color, look like he's dying, and then finally to bring him back. And then go, okay, we're done Sunday. I'm like, guess what? We're going back Wednesday. Wow, 3 days later, we're starting all over again. And sometimes it's really, really rough on all of us. So yes, it's really a hard thing to see as a parent. I would never wish this on anybody, but again, we're so honored and gracious that everybody has been helping us out.
So I asked Alex, I'll ask you, how have you had to adjust your lives, to accommodate this massive change?
Right now, the biggest thing is just to be there for your son. You, as a parent, you want to be in the hospital every day. So, of course, we're away from work. Luckily, our works are very understanding. And adjusting in our family, I mean, as I said, everybody has to fight together, and it affects even the oldest son to the youngest son. His little brother affects him as more than anybody else. Of course, he doesn't want to see his older brother be affected this way. So it affects him as much as anybody else. So adjustments, God, couldn't even tell you how many. All you want to do is be there for him. And all you want to do is help him be positive. And as I tell him, I'll be your biggest defender and your biggest cheerleader, but I will push you to get through this. And sometimes it is very hard.
Yeah, because you want to. I mean, I know how I am as a father. I want to sometimes baby mine even through the hardest stuff, and you have to really, you have to. And I guess you're going through it too. You have to say, no, you have to step up and do your part.
Yes, and every time we go in there, he's like, "Can we leave now? Is it over?" And we're like, "No, you have to show the doctors you can eat, because, of course, nausea is the biggest thing. You can drink, just simple drink of water sometimes will make him throw up. You have to show him that you can walk around. Let's walk around." And he's like, "I can't." "No, you have to. Let's go." And you have to motivate him and push him and tell him every day, life is not going to be on this bed. Life will not be in this couch. We have to move. Let's go. This is not your life. Your life, this is just a small part. Let's keep moving. And motivating them every day is your job as a parent. And I think that, be it that they're sick or being healthy, that is our job always. Motivate them to go to school, motivate them to do good in sports, in life choices. And yes, this is one of those motivating moments that you have to tell your son, gotta keep going. Never stop. Never stop. Life is not here. We are going to get something better.
Now, you said Alex has a little brother. How many kids total?
We have three total boys, one that's 18. Alex just turned 16, and Andrew's 11. So his little brother, of course, looks up to his brothers as much as possible and loves them so much. But again, seeing them go through this, it's a totally different thing for an 11-year-old. You never want to have them see this. And of course, they believe what all their friends tell them at school. My grandmother died of cancer. My uncle died of cancer. Everybody, and you're like, no one. Hey, calm down. No, he's not going to die of cancer. Well, everybody tells me that, Dad. No, that is not the end. We will fight this. We will get through this. So it's been always a hard thing to tell my son that I love him so much and tell him, don't believe your friends. But an 11-year-old, a 6th grader, of course, what does he believe? His friends.
Yeah, I can only imagine this has been tough for him.
Yes.
Well, how about for your older son? Is he still at home or off at school?
He's off to school and college, and of course, when we found this in mid-August, and we were about to ship him off to college, and he's like, I can't leave. How can I leave at this time of moment? And we were like, no, you have to go. This is not your life. We will take care of your brother. We will be there to support him. Don't worry. Your job is to go better and live your life and go to college. But of course, luckily they keep in touch. They text each other and call, and he has someone to vent. Other than mom and dad, no brother just talks to mom and dad. It's their brothers and sisters that they talk to. And his older brother has been there for him and talks to him as much and helps them to vent, which he won't want to do in front of us. Alex, one thing that is, he's very positive and he wants to show the strong side. So he says, it's not affecting me, Dad. I know deep down inside it does. And luckily he's able to talk to his family and his brother and tell them exactly how he really feels and not tell mom and dad. He's trying to show a good brave face, and I'm proud of him for that. And he's showing a brave face for his brother as well, his little brother. Mm.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, all of you, I can't get over the positive attitude. I mean, you expect, especially, this has not been going on really in the grand scheme of things all that long. It's, 5-6 months you've been dealing with this. I'd like to think I'm a relatively strong person, but I probably wouldn't be as strong as you. So it's really, I don't know how do you do it? How do you manage to stay so positive through such a hardship?
For your children, they're going to see everything you do. You want this, you have to show them that positive attitude. Yes, deep down inside, I'm worried, as any parent would be. I'd be screaming like every parent would be. But what do you have to show your son? That life goes on. You have to show that positive. You can't show them break down. You're supposed to be the rock of the family, and that's the person that you have to become. Because if they see you crumble, what's going to happen to them? So I have to be there for them, and I have to be strong.
Do you get to vent?
Oh, yes. I get to vent. Just like anybody else, you have to go to family. You have to talk to people. You have to have someone. You can't hold it in. But being positive in front of my son, yes. That is my job.
This is Amanda Milton. She is one of the officers for the National Honor Society here. When you heard Alex's story, what made you want to step up and say, hey, we want to lend a hand?
Well, we always have 3 main events, and one of them is normally a run walk. We'd actually already picked the organization that we were going to do our run walk for, and then we heard about Alex, and we're like, he's one of our fellow classmates, and we asked the club if they were willing to re-vote to see if we could raise all of our money for him instead, and it was almost unanimous that everyone wanted to do that for him.
What was it about his story that made you want to do it?
I mean, it's local, and it's someone that we would see on campus, and it was really inspiring because I couldn't imagine going through that, and I think that everyone in our club was really wanting to help out with him in any way possible, since some of us, we don't even know him, and it's overwhelming to even think about what his family and he must be going through, so we wanted to help out in any way possible.
Well, and now I imagine you're all getting to know him a little better, right?
Yes, a lot better, actually.
Okay, so what kind of plans then, since you plan on being back here for your senior year, what kind of things do you want to make sure that you do while you're here?
I want to say get on the swim team again. Hopefully I could get all my times. I want to be able to graduate here and just be able to succeed and graduate with my friends.